This week we're looking at Ephesians chapter 2, verse number 1 specifically, that says, "And you were dead in your sins and trespasses." Verse 2 and 3 emphasizes the fact that people have given themselves over to sin to the point that it became their manner of life, the very habit that directed their life. There's a doctrine out there called Calvinism, which teaches the idea of total, that means complete, hereditary, inherited guilt. Total hereditary depravity. Not that we inherit the consequences, which is true, but that we inherit the guilt of Adam. That's an amazing thing that people would teach that. And one of the points that they make is, hey, you were dead. There's absolutely nothing you can do to redeem yourself. God is responsible for everything because you're dead. And dead men can't do anything. Friends, that is a terrible mistake. That's equivocation. You're equivocating physical death with spiritual death. Now, I want you to notice something. In Genesis chapter 2, verse number 17, God lays down a mandate that they are to, of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He says, "You shall not eat, for in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die." We come over to Genesis chapter 3, and we see that Satan tempts Adam and Eve, tempts Eve specifically, and that Adam went along with his wife, and their eyes are open, and they realize that they're naked. Now, I want you to understand something. Back in Genesis chapter 2, verse number 17, God says, when you do this, when you disobey me, you will die. So when they eat it, we know that they're dead. Not physically, but spiritually they're dead. But these dead people in Genesis chapter 3, 6, and 7, they realize that they're naked. These dead people realize that they're naked. Not only that, when we look down at verse number 8 and 10, God is walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and they heard the sound of the Lord walking in the garden. Here's some dead people who realize that God is walking in the garden. Don't tell me that a person who's spiritually dead can't do anything. Not only that, they knew that they were naked. They knew that they had disobeyed God. Think about the prodigal son in Luke chapter 15. He decides to come home to his father after a life of rebellion. And the father says in Luke chapter 15, verse number 24, "This my son was dead and is alive again." That dead boy came home. Oh, people who are spiritually dead can respond. They can submit. They can surrender. They can be obedient to Jesus Christ.